Welcome to my channel, The World of Science Fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The arena lights died with a sound like a throat being cut, and for one full second, the galaxy went blind. And in that black silence, a human screamed not from fear, but from the shock of being alive when everyone, even the gods on the screens, had already decided he should be dead. And when the lights came back, the sand was wet and dark and steaming under his knees, and his own blood was dripping from his chin in slow, stupid drops. And above him, the alien Empress watched without moving, her crown a ring of floating shards that hummed like distant bees, her eyes pale as moons, her face carved from calm, and her voice carried through the stadium like a promise that could ruin anyone. If a human ever beats her champion, she would marry him, because no human could win, because humans were soft and short-lived and loud, because the Empire had spent 300 years turning them into a joke that cried in cages and fought for scraps, and because the Empress had made that vow on the night she burned Earth's last flag in her palm, smiling as it turned to ash, never thinking the vow could touch her throat like a chain. The human in the sand was called HFY, and the name meant nothing to anyone important. Not to the alien nobles in their levitating balconies. Not to the human work camps watching on cracked screens. Not even to the human officers who sold bodies to the arena to buy favors and air filters and a few more years of pretending they still had power. Jace was the kind of man people forgot while speaking to him. The kind who stood in lines and swallowed insults and learned to look down so the world would not see his eyes. Because his eyes were wrong, because they had seen something in the dark of space that should not be seen, and it had left a mark in them, a faint silver ring around each pupil that made other humans whisper cursed and made aliens laugh, useful. He had once been a soldier, not a hero, not a leader, just a boy with a cheap rifle who thought his pain meant something to a nation that no longer existed. And he had been broken in a battle no one remembered, on a dead moon where his unit was ordered to hold a ridge until reinforcements came. And the reinforcements never came, and his own commander sealed the bunker doors and left them outside, because the commander had already sold the coordinates to the Empire for a seat at a warm table. Jace watched his friends get hunted by alien hounds made of metal and hunger, watched them die with names on their lips. And he did not die only because he fell into a crater full of ice and the cold slowed his blood enough that the hounds passed over him. And in that crater he heard a sound beneath the ice, a slow pulse, like a heart that belonged to the moon itself. And he pressed his ear down and felt a whisper enter him. Not words, not language, but a memory of fire and sorrow. And when he crawled out days later, his skin was gray with frost. His left arm was numb and half dead, and his eyes had that silver ring. And the first human he saw spit at him and called him a witch. They brought him back to the human settlement on Tyra Station, a rusted wheel of metal turning around a gas giant. And the settlement smelled of oil and sweat and sickness. And everyone there had a job that kept them alive and a fear that kept them quiet. And Jace had neither, because soldiers without armies were trash, and cursed soldiers were worse. He tried to work, but the machines failed around him. Lights flickered when he walked past, and once a child fell from a ladder, and Jace caught him without thinking. And the child's mother slapped Jace hard enough to split his lip, and screamed that he had put evil in the boy. And the crowd believed her, because it was easier than believing the universe was cruel for no reason. He slept under a broken vent where warm air leaked like mercy. He ate leftovers. He learned to be invisible. And still the human guards found him, because human guards were the cruelest kind, the ones who wore alien-issued armor and called it pride. And they dragged him out one night and threw him at the feet of a recruiter with a white badge, Arena Supply. And the recruiter smiled the way knives smile and said the Empire needed entertainment, and entertainment needed bodies. Then Jace could either go quietly or watch the settlement's air ration drop by 10% due to an accident. Jace went quietly because he had no one left to die for him and no one he could die for. And that was the worst loneliness of all. The Empire's arena world was called Vesh, a planet built like a throne, with cities shaped around the grand pit. And the pit itself was a circle of black stone older than any empire, and the aliens said it was holy. And the humans whispered it was cursed, and both were true. They shaved Jace's head, branded his neck with a number, fitted him with a collar that could drop him in 1 second if he tried to run, and threw him into the undercells, where fighters waited. And the undercells were a maze of damp walls and old screams, and the air tasted like rust and dried tears. There were humans down there, and there were other species too, and none of them looked like monsters at first, just tired beings with their hope chewed into thin strips, and they all stared at Jace's eyes. And one old human woman crossed herself and moved away like he carried plague. His first fights were not grand. They were small and dirty, meant to soften him, meant to teach the crowd that humans begged before they died. He fought another human first, a boy with shaking hands. And the boy whispered, "Please," before raising a blade. And Jace could not kill him fast enough to spare him pain, and the crowd laughed anyway. And Jace felt something crack inside him that had been holding back for years. Not rage, not hate, but a cold understanding. The Empire did not just want bodies. It wanted the spirit to kneel. After that, they sent beasts, then trained soldiers from conquered worlds. Then a creature with 6 arms and a face like whetstone. And each time Jace survived by being smaller than expected, by using broken bones as levers, by letting himself fall so the enemy would lean in, by biting, by using the sand and the walls and his own pain like tools, because pain was the only thing the Empire could not take from him. They could make him suffer, but they could not stop him from choosing what the suffering meant. Still, he was not strong, not in the way legends were strong. His left arm trembled, his ribs never healed right, and sometimes he woke with blood in his mouth from coughing in the dark, and the medics gave him cheap foam and told him to stop whining. And the other fighters avoided his gaze because his eyes reminded them of the crater, of the whisper beneath the ice, of things they did not want to believe. Above it all, the alien Empress Veilith of the Ash Throne watched the games as if they were weather. And her champion, Karen 9, was her favorite storm, a towering alien warlord rebuilt with Empire tech, part flesh, part obsidian armor, with a blade arm that could cut a man in half without slowing, undefeated in 100 matches, adored by the nobles, feared by everyone else. Veilith had declared her vow after Karen 9 tore a human rebellion leader apart in front of her court. And the vow was a joke with teeth, a public sign that humans would never rise high enough to touch her. And the crowd repeated it like a song, and human children in work camps whispered it like a curse. If a human ever beats her, she will marry him, so no human ever will. Jace did not care about the vow at first. He cared about water, about breathing, about staying alive in a place that fed on death.